Hello everyone, I, Amit Kumar, Assistant Professor in the Department of Social Work, the Bhopal School of Social Sciences. I welcome you all in this lecture series of Principles of Growth and Development. So, moving towards the growth and development. What do you mean by growth and what do you mean by development? Growth implies increase in size such as height and weight. We see since the inception or since the birth of the child, we find that since the childhood, the children is very small, and with the passing of age, he increases in height as well as weight. Whereas development refers to the acquisition of skills and abilities that takes place throughout the life. Growth ceases at a particular time. At around 22 to 23 years, increase in height, weight ceases. Only we find there is change in BMI with the accumulation of fat, and BMI can be calculated as weight in kg by height in meter square. Whereas development continues throughout the life of an individual. So, growth and development follows a pattern. These are of two kinds. One is cephalocaudal, another one is proximodistal sequence. In cephalocaudal, we find child develops, gets control over head first and then the rest of the region later. And infants develop control of the head and face, and then they control over the leg, and then they able to crawl, then stand, walk, jump, run and climb day by day. His activity increases day by day, but we find that first of all his head region develop first, and the movement in the head regions take first, and later on in the rest part of the body. In the another pattern of development, that is called proximodistal sequence, we find the direction of growth and development. The direction is from center in the first and in the extreme part later. In the center means what? First of all, we find if we look at the development of the teeth, the middle teeth develop first and the rest of the polar teeth develops later. Similarly, the spinal cord, it develops first and then the rest part of the body later. Growth and development is a continuous process. As I have told you in the beginning, growth ceases around 22 to 23 years of age, whereas development continues throughout the life. It can be either in positive direction or it can be in negative direction. And that's why it is told that growth and development take place from conception till death, or in another word we can say it takes place from womb to tomb. So, during infancy we find the development and the growth of child takes place in different manner. First of all, the head region develop first and then the rest part of the body, and accordingly the development is taking place in the head region first and in the latter part of the body later on. Then comes childhood. In childhood we find that the child acquires different kinds of growth in terms of their height, weight, in terms of BMI, and at the same time the development also takes place in terms of different aspects like cognitive development, phonic sounds and different kinds of things is taking place. In adolescence, we find the adolescents develop different kinds of growth as well as different kinds of development is taking place. In growth side, we find hormonal changes is taking place, which leads to a steep increase in their height, weight, and their BMI is also changing accordingly as per the increase or decrease in height and weight. Whereas the adolescents develop acquire different kinds of skills. Then adulthood, with the entering into the adulthood, the person developed different kinds of growth. The hair start graying, the tooth start decaying, indigestion problem is increasing, and at the same time we find increase in BP is there, diabetes is there, cholesterol is also increasing. So, and at the same time with this passing of age, the adult acquires different kinds of experience of life. And in the last stage of lifespan, that is old age, the human being acquire different kinds of growth. In degeneration, we find the skin is lingering, there is wrinkles on the skin, on face, and at the same time the weight is also degenerating, decreasing. But at the same time, with the passing of age throughout their life, they acquire so much experiences than that they develop skills by which they can get their work done easily. So growth and development continues throughout the life in the same manner. Now coming back to the principles of growth and development. The first principle tells about principle of individual differences. Means what? The rate and amount with which an individual growth and development taking place is not same for all. It varies from person to person. You may find some of the person whose growth is at a speedy rate, and you may find some of the persons whose development is taking place at a very faster pace, whereas you may find some of the person whose growth and development is taking place very slow. And it is both factor is responsible for it, heredity as well as environment. And we find some are active whereas other are passive in the same age group. It is because of different traits of the personality, and these traits and types of the personality are responsible for the introvert reflection and extrovert reflection of the individual. Another principle is development proceed from simple to complex. We find that the individual is first able to hold the big things with their both hands. Later on, they are able to hold the big things in small hand. Means they are able to develop gross motor skill first, and then they are able to get fine motor skill. They are able to acquire fine motor skills in their life. And when they are able to hold the pencil, for example, they draw the circle first, and then they draw the square, and then they letters, and after that they learn words. Another principle is principle of heredity and environment. Heredity and environment means what? Whatever the genes we inherit from our parents, which resembles our personality. And as I already told you in my previous lectures, personality is nothing but it is derived from the Greek word persona, which means your appearance, and your genes which you have inherited from your parents, that determines your appearance. At the same time, whatever environment in which you are living, that determines your functioning. So both heredity and environment are responsible for your appearance and your functioning. Here I will give you one example. A student returned from the school, and he told her mother that, "Mother, I won singing competition." Mother told, "Beta, ye to hona hi tha." It is so because his father was a good singer, and the trait of the singing was present in the child. But because his father could not get the environment, opportunity to perform, so he cannot get any prize. And as this child got the opportunity to perform, so he win the singing competition. So by this we see here heredity and environment both plays a crucial role in the performance of the child. Now we find another principle is principle of maturation and learning. If a child is keen to learn something, then but lack maturation, then he won't be able to learn it. Keenness is one aspect, and maturation is another aspect which will lead to acquiring of your skills. Whereas just exposed to it, if a child is keen to learn something and he has the maturity to learn, then he will definitely acquire those skills, and which is the core of this principle of maturation and learning. You will acquire the different skills, techniques with the passing of age, with the passing of your maturity. Then comes principle of significance of early development. Early childhood experience have more impact on the development of the child. And these includes nutritional, emotional, social and cultural experience. Suppose if a child is getting good food, obviously you will find the health of the child along with the BMI, his appearance, you will find very pleasant. But at the same time, if the child is having deprivation, then you will find there is something lacking in the personality of the child. At the same time, you find emotional, social and cultural experiences. Whatever the child is acquiring throughout his life, he will reflect it in his or her personal and in his or her behavior. And another principle is the development proceed from general to specific. As I already told you, infant moves whole body but unable to make a specific response. You see, during infancy, the child is able to move his head, but he is not able to move in the specific direction. And later on, you find the child is able to move his head as well as his leg, but he is not able to move in a specific direction. Then crawling take place, standing take place, and then walking, running, and then he starts moving from one place to another. Another principle is growth and development is predictable. Means by looking at the child, you can easily predict the growth and development of the children. If it is possible for us that in which range within which the mature development of the child is likely to fall, whether the child will be having normal growth, deprived growth, or he will be having some extraordinary growth. So by observing the child, we can predict their growth and development. So the last principle is principle of interrelation. We find there are different aspects of our life. Physical, mental, social development are interrelated to each other, and any deprivation in the one aspect leads to or affects the growth and development in the another aspect. And each area of development is dependent on one another, and thus it influences the development, influences the other development. So we must put emphasis on development of each and every aspects of the individual. Otherwise, even if deprivation in one aspect will affect the growth and development in the another domain. And you see the theory, there is one theory also called theory of deprivation, which clearly tells that the deprived children on any aspects affects the growth and development on the another aspect. So with this, we have come to end of today's topic. We will meet again sometime with some new topic. Thank you all.